In Venezuela, a convoy of pickup trucks rumbles down a dusty road outside Caracas, their beds packed with civilians in camouflage and rifles slung over their shoulders. In the hills, makeshift checkpoints dot the landscape, manned not by regular soldiers but by Venezuela's civilian militia. The lines between civilian and military blur, raising a question: what happens when a nation's defense rests on mobilizing its own population? Venezuela's terrain is a patchwork of dense urban centers, sprawling barrios, and mountainous jungle. Major highways like the Autopista Regional del Centro connect Caracas to the interior. Points abound like bridges, tunnels, and narrow passes that can be blocked or defended by small determined groups. And the Orinoco River, which is running over 2,100 kilometers, slices through the country, offering both a barrier and a potential supply route. Meanwhile, the border with Colombia stretches over 2,200 kilometers, much of it rugged and porous, ideal for irregular warfare and guerrilla logistics. Why does this matter for Venezuela's defense calculus with everything going on today? The government formalized the Bolivarian Militia, swelling its ranks to over 3.2 million registered members by 2020. These are not professional soldiers, but civilians trained in basic arms, communications, and local intelligence gathering. Their units are embedded in neighborhoods, factories, and farms, giving them intimate knowledge of local terrain and infrastructure. This network can rapidly mobilize to block roads, sabotage infrastructure, or provide early warning of troop movements in the area. The militia's small arms like AK pattern rifles, shotguns, and locally produced carbines have limited range compared to modern military hardware. But their strength lies in numbers and dispersion. With units stationed in nearly every municipality, the government claims the ability to activate thousands of checkpoints and ambush points on short notice. Communications rely on a mix of radio, cell networks, and runners, creating redundancy even if national infrastructure is degraded by an outside invader. So how does this integration of civilian and military function shift the balance between the United States and Venezuela? By embedding defense capabilities into the civilian population, Venezuela complicates the targeting calculus for any conventional invader. Urban warfare scenarios become more likely, with militias blending into the civilian population using familiar streets and alleys as force multipliers. The cost of occupation for the United States rises as every neighborhood in Venezuela could become a node of resistance. Meanwhile, the government leverages the militia far more than just defense. Tasked with logistics, moving food, fuel, and medical supplies during crisis, and with intelligence reporting on suspicious activity or dissent. This dual role blurs the distinction between combatant and non-combatant, raising questions about the rules of engagement for any external force. Put differently, the militia serves as both shield and censor, extending the state's reach into daily life. But by any measure, this strategy is designed to deter intervention by raising the potential costs. Planners now must account for not just the Venezuelan military, estimated at around 120,000 personnel, but a diffuse armed civilian network several million strong. The effect of urban insurgency, sabotage of key infrastructure, and protracted resistance could slow or stall any rapid advance by the US, buying time for the government to regroup or negotiate. That said, the integration of militias into national defense is not without risks. Command and control becomes more complex, with the potential for rogue actions or breakdowns in discipline. Logistics chains are stretched, as arming and supplying millions of civilians requires vast resources and coordination. Also, training standards vary, and the effectiveness of militia units in sustained combat remains unproven. And again, this is not a moral judgment, it's an analysis of incentives and logistics. Because for Venezuela, the calculus is very clear. By mobilizing the population, the state seeks to deny an easy victory to any would-be invader, raising the specter of a drawn-out, costly conflict. And for external actors like the US, every blockaded road or armed neighborhood adds friction and uncertainty and risk. So now if we zoom out, Venezuela's militia mobilization echoes historical strategies from Yugoslavia to Vietnam, where civilian integration into national defense complicated foreign intervention. So in the current context today, with US military options under constant review, this changes the calculus for the US. Presence of millions of armed civilians embedded in the fabric of society acts as both as a deterrent and a wildcard. Ultimately, the fusion of civilian and military roles in Venezuela's defense posture is less about battlefield supremacy and more about shaping the strategic environment. By making invasion and occupation appear prohibitively costly, the government bets on deterrence through dispersion and resilience. The question now is whether this strategy will hold under pressure or if the very integration that promises strength will reveal new vulnerabilities. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe for more, and also add your comments in the comment section below to let me know what you think.